Hello, everyone.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. Thank you for welcoming us, and thank you for to Art Luxembourg to welcome Sotheby's for this little talk. We're very thrilled and all excited to be here. Just to introduce briefly myself, my name is Eddie Hautchamp. It's written here with this with a little typo. I'm director at Sotheby's for the private sales, specialist in contemporary art for Sotheby's Paris, and I'm together with my colleague Isobel.
Hello, Isobel Gooda. I'm a specialist in contemporary art as well at Sotheby's in Paris, and I am dealing more on the auction side of things as the head of the day sale, which we'll talk a bit about later. Gwendolyn?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm glad to see you all came to this Sotheby's talk titled The Secrets to Success of Sotheby's in the Secondary Market. So I don't know if there are many secrets, I don't think so, but I think that this afternoon will hopefully clear up the way we function. I think Sotheby's is a very powerful art selling platform, and my colleagues, by the way, Gwendolyn Grolig, I operate from the Brussels office, encompassing also Luxembourg. So for us, Luxembourg is a strategic, important geographical zone. And I will later at the end of the presentation, well, it's more of a talk format. So I hope you will intervene. Please feel free to ask questions if you feel the urge to ask a question. Otherwise, maybe we end up on another subject, but so the format will be a talk, but at the end I will shortly talk a little bit about the Brussels, the Belgium office, which will celebrate its 50th birthday next year. But we have no sales in Brussels, and that's why our colleagues here are very much in the heat of the action in the auction houses themselves, like Paris, and that's where they will explain in depth the functioning. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much. So very briefly, we thought it would be a good idea, like to start with some figures to understand a little bit more, like where we're at now in today's contemporary art market. So as an introduction, with some little graphics because we all love it. With the recent report from UBS at Basel 2023, we actually realized that the year that has passed, 2022, has been one of the strongest we had post-pandemic, which is a very good sign for the art market, especially for the contemporary art market. And we could see here that the global sale that includes galleries and auction houses together, where we end up this year with $67.8 billion, which is huge. It's basically like the second highest record for 15 years, which is something quite significant to note. Very briefly, again, we see that the art markets, especially the contemporary art market, is mostly located in New York. Still, that's where like all the biggest collection and the biggest sales still are happening. Even post-Brexit, the UK keeps to have like a very strong place on the contemporary art market, together with China, of course, with loads of sales, not only at Sotheby's but Christie's as well in Hong Kong. So that gives you basically like a good idea of where we at. Compared to those places. So again, that's also very interesting to understand like how we share like this market between galleries and dealers and auction houses. So it's basically almost half and half. We end up like the year 2022 for galleries and dealers at 37.2 billion dollars, compared to 30 billion for auction houses, which is like almost 50-50. So that also shows like how fast the auction houses are growing in terms of market share, because we could see, like, compared to 2022, we got a raise of 46%, which is quite phenomenal. So again, that shows also, like, a little bit about the geographical situation currently for the art market. I briefly, quickly move on to the focus on auction houses scene, which is quite also important to see that Sotheby's, Christie's, and Phillips still, like, earn, like, $17.7 billion of the current market, which is quite significant also compared to the rest of the auction houses. So we're still, like, quite present here. And only for Sotheby's, we are accounting $8 billion for the year 2022. Oh, that's coming backward. If I can. Oh. So maybe Isobel can present Sotheby's and describe a little bit more, like, who we are and what we do, and we get more in depth about auction and private sale afterwards. Thank you.
So, right, how do we get those figures? Sotheby's is one of the two predominant auction houses in the world. We were established in 1744. We have regional offices in almost every country in the world, and we have selling locations in over 10 countries. Unfortunately, we're not in Luxembourg yet, but we're very much on the ground, and we are very much present in Belgium, obviously with the Belgian team. So, Sotheby's is divided into three main sectors. We have the expertise departments, of which we're all members, but we also have, obviously, the very important luxury departments, which is a department that's growing. We're not going to talk too much about that today, but it's becoming more and more crucial to Sotheby's core business. And then the support departments, which behind the scenes keep everything kind of rolling along. We are mainly, our main source of revenue comes from contemporary art and impressionist and modern still, but we're very much involved in all kinds of categories. We even have maps departments, toys departments, and one of the kind of beauties of working at Sotheby's is that we have this incredible expertise across categories. So, auctions. This is obviously our bread and butter. Something that I do every day as the head of the day sale. So for contemporary art in Paris, London, and New York, our calendar is kind of punctuated by what we call our marquee sales. So these are sales which happen twice a year. We have 2 evening sales a year for contemporary art. The evening sale is very high quality curated selection of works beginning at around 100,000 euros. We have an example of a work behind you on the wall. It's the Jean Dubuffet Mire. It's a work that's estimated at 100 to 150,000. This will be presented in our evening sale in Paris in December, which is our next big kind of calendar moment. And the day after, we'll be hosting the day sale with this Polyakov from 54, which is a sale. The online day sale remains very high quality, but has lower price points with larger selection of works. So we sell around 150 works, ranging from estimates of around 20,000 to around 250,000. These auctions are online, whereas the evening sales are live. And since COVID, we've really seen an uptake on the online kind of side of things. Technology has become absolutely fundamental to everything that we do, and Sotheby's is at the forefront of innovation. We are the most technologically advanced auction house, and we were very fast to move towards online sales post-COVID. It's something that even our kind of older collectors are very becoming more and more comfortable with, and it's something that we really believe in as a company. So the day sale was originally a live sale. We've now moved it online, and we have really extraordinary results. We've seen coming through every year since.
Is it working? Yeah. So as maybe we can move on to the next slide. So to understand a little bit better, like how Sotheby, as Isobel explained, like how we can we try to improve our strength. So firstly, of course, with the auctions, we tend to cover pretty much like all the range of price, the range of artworks. It can go from 20,000, even 5,000, up to multi-million. And beside that, we very much focus for the last 5 years on private sales as well. So we tend to offer all the pretty much like a 360 experience to our collectors. What does that mean? So basically, private sales have like different layer of confidentiality. So we can either be like extremely confidential, so very few people can know about the work or know about the work that can be sold, or we can even list it directly on our Sotheby's page. So that offers also some good quality of prospect with our international team of specialists. And it's way more discreet, of course, than public sales. So that's also very appreciated with our collectors. And we tend to also be a little bit more flexible with prices and fees, which can't be done with public sales. So that has been very much developed for, as I said, like the past 5 years, especially in Paris. And only for the private sales, like we've been reaching a total of like $1 billion for the last year, which is like something that is developing more and more. So it's not even with the public sales yet, of course, because it's not our main activities, but we tend to offer that service on top of what we well known to do. So maybe. If you have any question, don't hesitate, because I might understand like private sales is a little bit awkward for auction houses, so very few, a lot of people are not. Yes, absolutely.
Hello. About the galleries, how much do you change your shows? Do you work like a gallery, or do you work?
So far we don't have sorry. So far we don't have at least in Paris, not even in New York actually. So we have different places that are dedicated to private sales in Monaco, Aspen, Palm Beach. Where about again? I forget, maybe one.
Brussels.
And Brussels, of course. Oh my God. Oh. So we don't have a program as gallery spaces have. So basically, what we do in terms of private sales, we tend to do shows maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times a year in Paris, quite regularly as well in Brussels. So, but we don't have like a fixed calendar, so we don't have any program as much as a gallery could offer. That's maybe something that will be coming for the next year. So we basically working more and more towards that focus, but so far we just tend to transact one-on-one with clients, but not very much focused on exhibiting yet. A little bit.
And often when you do shows, it's contemporaneous with our auction exhibitions. So
yeah, we tend to be on the same calendar as well. So that's how we think a program. Yeah.
There's always kind of an offering for clients who are passing through both at auction and privately, because private sales obviously don't stick to a calendar. They can happen at any time, which is something that a lot of clients prefer. We don't have to wait until June or December for our main sales. They can transact at any time.
Yes, and if I may say, some clients agree on exhibiting their artworks they wish to sell in private sale, but others might prefer not to expose them nor on the site nor on the website, and so we transact for them privately. And of course, the art market is a very global market. I think with the due diligence, we heard about all the hurdles to take and the dangers, maybe the pitfalls. But on the other hand, it's also an extremely international moving global market, and of course Sotheby is having a presence everywhere. We tend to be able to, because of the big data, we this technology, this advanced technological evolution of the company permits to have a big overview on the wishes and the tastes of our clients, which is an extremely, even if there are local differences, it offers an extremely, I mean, it's an incalculable opportunity. The question is, how do you deal with it? And we have dedicated people who specifically can, for this private sales, as Eddie told earlier, private sales is an additional activity, but it's also an extra opportunity. It has come also from the clients who have asked us. It was a question. People are looking for something. They were not successful on auction, and we might have another lead. And since we have all the big data, we very confidentially, and of course it's all very regulated. All these contracts are watertight. It's not transparent, but we are, of course, in a cooperation with a big compliant issue. We can bring together people who look for something and other people who have something. I just want to parenthese, because this private sale activity is not always clearly understood by everybody who has this idea of how an auction house works, but it's a very important activity. Sorry.
We wanted to spend a bit of time talking about collections as well, because collections is something that's always been a very fundamental part of Sotheby's DNA. Right since our founding, we used to do kind of house sales where we would conduct sales in a client's house. Nowadays, that's transformed into what we call single owner sales, where we will evaluate an entire collection, and we will kind of tell a story and kind of really try to privilege the idea of the kind of the collector's eye. So obviously the evening and day sales are what we call various sales. That's a mixture of consigners, but the collections are a really fascinating kind of other kind of moments in our calendar which allow us to show specific kind of tastes, and some of those collections have really changed the history of art. For example, even just last night, we sold the collection of Emily Fischer-Landau, which became the most expensive collection of a female collector ever sold, at 406 million in New York for just 31 lots. And we have the day sale coming up today in New York. So this is a really amazing kind of part of our business that we really enjoy. We end up kind of having these super beautiful exhibitions. For example, the Freddie Mercury exhibition in London, you may have heard about. There were queues around the block. We kind of recreated the universe of Freddie Mercury in London, and the sale exploded. We often have what we call a collection effect, because our collectors tend to love the idea of kind of buying a piece of this world belonging to somebody that they admire. So just to talk a little bit about last year, in contemporary art, we had the highest annual auction sales ever. So that's pretty incredible post-COVID. We made a total of 4.1 billion in aggregate auction sales. Oops. The same goes for Impressionist and modern art. As I was saying earlier, it's one of our most important departments alongside the contemporary department. In Paris, as of next year, we'll actually be selling contemporary and modern art together, which is a new kind of style of sale, which will be really interesting. We're going to be kind of selling 20th century art in the same location, which makes a lot of sense, I think, art historically, because there wasn't a specific shift halfway through the middle of the century. We also have physical retail. So in, for example, we do kind of selling exhibitions of luxury. We also have a collaboration with Boucherer in Zurich and in Geneva, I believe, where we're going to be kind of exhibiting works of art and luxury, things like handbags and watches, alongside their material. So that's something that we're kind of moving into at the moment. And Gwendolyn, would you like to
Yes,
join me?
thank you. As you can see, the expertise is quite broad in this house, this Sotheby's house with a long history, but of course in an extremely changing art market with lots of new challenges. We adapt, and this powerhouse is the environment in which we work. But on the other hand, the local entities are very important because the know-how of the local market is then glued to the global. So we have the power of the structure and the marketing machine and the digital facilities, but we also act locally, and that's where the Brussels team, for example, represents Belgium and Luxembourg. We have been existing in Belgium for 50 years. We'll celebrate that tomorrow. For us, Luxembourg is also important in the way that we organize des journées d'expertise, viewing the expertise where we physically move towards the market where we want to be. We do that also in Belgium with kind of roadshows. I think it's also interesting to mention that we moved our Brussels office, which was situated in a house, in a townhouse, 2 years ago on the Avenue Louise in Brussels, in a much more gallery-like corporate office space with a big gallery, and we actually share the office together with Sotheby's Realty. And I think it's interesting to mention because Sotheby's Realty is also present in Luxembourg and in many countries in the world, are very important for the high-end luxury sale or selling of property and second residence. But we think there's an interesting cross-selling opportunity between both, because people who sell their nice, beautiful home tend to have a nice, beautiful car or have beautiful artwork. So this joint venture is a little bit unique in the Sotheby's family, but we have been testing this for a year and a half, and it really works well. Still many things to do, but the advantage is that we have a gallery, meaning we exhibit the highlights of the upcoming auctions. But the space is there, so we organize all kinds of things, also private sales or collaborations with meaningful partners. So, of course, always at the Sotheby standards. And we are a team of 8 people. I'm lucky to have my boss here, who was on the talk earlier, but managing this team for many years now. And we are art historians, we are generalists in a way, but we also each have our speciality. We move a lot, we localize collections, we are always on the move to discover collections, to make inventories, and that is one of our activities, not only making inventories. Of course, we're eager to find and to discover the great artworks we are wanting to sell in Cologne or Paris or London or New York, depending on the right spot and the best logistical situation. But so we also give advice. So we tend to make valuations also for insurance purposes. People who just want to know where is my collection standing. We have an incredible database. Our experts are really aware of all the evolutions in many different kinds of art segments. So we do it for free and discreetly, very confidentially. But it can be really helpful for collectors to know if something they bought 10 years ago, where they're now, because we are a barometer of the market and always following all the trends. So that is an important activity for us, and I think we are quite successful in it. Belgium is and Luxembourg maybe in a different way, but are known for being small countries, but with a high density of collectors. Today we're talking about contemporary art, and we have very strong collectors. So proportionally, it's more of a sourcing country. We also have lots of buyers, and we assist them with the sales. Buyers can find lots of information online today with the sales, because some people regret catalogs, but we do have everything online, and you can click and browse. But then the collectors tend to come to us and ask for condition reports, extra material. We also visit the auctions, and we make videos just before the auction of the artwork in another setting. So all these things are more tangible and more close relationship we have with the clients, so that you don't think this Sotheby's is only this huge machine, and that's the I think the magic and a little bit of the secret of working for this kind of company. I don't know if there's anything I could say more about Belgium apart from maybe we have a few slides with great with some great sorry. These are examples of artworks, very important ones that were sourced through Belgium. You see optical art, very interesting artists. More classical things. Single owner sales also, the whole estates that come from Belgium, and that we, with the whole team, they take care of everything, the marketing, and it's really an exciting adventure. This is a recent sale, just this autumn, an interesting painting by Magritte. Of course, we have a nice history with Magritte, who is an internationally renowned Belgian artist, and also still increasing in prices, we see, over the last years. And this is one that was sold. You see
over 10 million.
Yeah, you see them there. And this is a bit of a strange image, but you see dancers in the exhibition rooms. We have classical exhibitions, but there's always lots of things going on, and we collaborate with artists, with dancers, with musicians. So it's quite fun. I think this is it. Yes, this is a short reminder of the collection, which is sold now at this moment in New York, which absolutely yesterday with world records. I think it's the second. Yeah.
So this Picasso was sold for 136 million, which was the second most expensive Picasso ever sold. So it's kind of a good barometer of where the market's at.
Well, of course, all these staggering prices are monitored, and it always kind of like measure the health or situation of the art market, but there's much more to that. I don't know if you have numbers on the number of lots we sell per year, but it's a really fantastic way to sell art, the secondary market, because you can still do good deals.
There's definitely something for everyone at every point of the year with us.
So I would say, are there things that you've always wanted to know about auction houses, but we're afraid to ask, that you would like to maybe ask now? Any question, any kind of...
Maybe a bit about kind of what, how we kind of advice on how people could choose the works to buy, the kind of way to collect. Things like, for example, when we have a show, normally before an auction we have an exhibition for a week, and something I always advise my clients is to come in and see the works if you can, where you can. Because often we obviously have a very different perception when we're in front of a piece. Some artists work a lot with light, it seems obvious, but often things seem smaller in real life than they do online. And to ask for a condition report, that's something that I would also advise always. That's a good... sorry.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I mean, would you, just from a financial perspective, do you think it makes financial sense for someone to actually buy art from Sotheby's in an auction and keep it and sell it, again? Because looking at the very high fees that you take, how can it make financial sense to, I mean, the price of the art piece would really need to go up a lot, I mean, for this to make sense, no?
I think it's important to note that our auction estimates take into consideration the fact that the final price will include our buyer's premium. So often the starting bid and the final price will be a lot lower than what a gallery might charge, for example. So while it might seem that we charge on top of the hammer price a lot of money, in reality, with regard to the market prices, we're very much in line. In fact, it's us that kind of stabilizes or determines the prices of the market. Because our sales are public, the galleries often base their prices on our results. So we're actually considered to be a cheaper way of buying art often than in a primary gallery or a secondary market gallery. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you sum it up pretty well. But again, like as Isobel said, like you have to keep in mind, like all these estimates like we make have this understanding, like the final price and the estimate like consider like a general price in the end. So yeah, you're right. I mean, we are pretty much in line and even cheaper than what you could see selling at galleries in the end. And we're just like maybe the most fair way also to buy. Because like the competition is fair, and that's the only place where you can do it.
It's the bidders that decide the final price in a way, whereas in a gallery it's a kind of top-down price, because you start like in real estate with a price and you kind of negotiate downwards. With us, you start at the bottom and you work your way up with the bids, because
and the commissioning is totally transparent. There's no tricks. Everything there, it's written in the conditions of sale. Also for the buyer, the buyer's premium is very straightforward, and the seller's commission is pretty straightforward. So I think you know when you want to bid in auction what you would have to pay on top, and then you can mitigate your price. But it's true, if you look at art from a speculative point of view and you buy and you want to know in 10 years you keep it and you want to make a profit, that's a totally different issue, and that depends on the segment.
I don't know if we answered like all your question, because I understand like you also have a question regarding like the investment itself. Like will you? I mean, are you sure that if you buy something at Sotheby's for, I mean, like what's the risk? Was that your question? Like, or?
I think something else I would add to what I was saying before is that another piece of advice I always give is that we can give interest levels before a sale. So before a sale, we have a very good idea of what is going to happen on the night. There are often surprises. We love it when there are surprises. It makes for cinematic moments in the sale rooms. But we normally have an idea of where something will hammer down. And we can give what we call bidding advice. So we can say, you know, I would go up to this level, or I think that the work will make this. So you can kind of arrange your level on the basis of how many other people there are going to be. And I think more so than in a gallery, there are often opportunities where, for example, something is maybe a French artist has been is part of a collection in, for example, the Dubuffet in the Emily Fisher Landau collection. Collectors of Dubuffet are very often French. This was an extremely important Dubuffet, which was estimated at 2 to 3 million, I think, or 3 to 4 million. And it really over
We'll
2
check.
million. One of the most important Dubuffets ever sold. It hammered down on the low estimate, and one could speculate that it might have done very well in a European context, because the Europeans were asleep when the sale was happening. So, you know, if you are kind of alert to the opportunities and you're in contact with us, and we can kind of keep you up to date with what's, you know, who's registered for telephone bids, who's been looking in the exhibitions, you can get a kind of good idea of where, if you're looking for opportunities for investment, you know, we have the inside scoop. Obviously, there is also the coup de foudre, and sometimes people can overpay, especially in the context like the collection effect. For example, with Freddie Mercury, we were seeing crazy prices. But when I say overpay, it's really kind of personal taste. I mean, people were buying, we sold a bracelet that he wore, which was something that he bought probably in a market stand with a kind of copper snake on it. It was estimated at 200 to 300 pounds. We sold it for over 100,000. I mean, because somebody really wanted to own a piece of his world. So that's kind of the beauty of auction houses as well. You can have opportunities as well as kind of these amazing prices for really special objects.
No, you're right, and just also like wanted to add like about like overpaying. Like you always like have the feeling like you could overpay something the D-Day, but like buying a Rothko like 50 years ago would have been like also overpaying, but something like you would maybe like get way more today. So you always have to keep that also in mind. Like maybe firstly buy what you like and pay what you feel that is right compared to like the current market. But we even us we don't know what's going to be about. Like within 10 years we've seen like impressive growth. I think about Pierre Soulages, for example, that has been seeing like the most aggressive growth of markets from 2017. That has been raising like significantly high and been staying like really high even till today. So a work by Soulages like wasn't very much like appreciated like I would say 20 years ago, and you could have it for a quite cheap price compared to what can be sold today. So let's have in mind that the world record for Soulages is like $20 million, including fees, because that's also important to have that in mind. That's a work that could have been paid like maybe 5 million 20 years ago. So we have to keep things in perspective, and that's how the market works as well. So there's a bit of a gambling part in it as well.
I would say that notwithstanding the incredible data available and tools like ArtNet, ArtPrice, who register all the auction results and the economical reports that every year are made on the art market and the segmentation, that it's still not an exact science. And that is something we live with every day, and there are trends, and of course we play also a driver's role in that, but other hand, we also are followers. So it's not as if it's all communicating phases between primary market, secondary market, geopolitical situation. That's luckily the fun part about it.
That's why I think the key is always to buy what you love, because at the end of the day, if you buy something that you think will do well, but you don't like it, then there's a strong chance that nobody else will either. So.
Yeah, that's very true.
Any questions? Very practical ones, or philosophical ones, or crazy ones? Yes.
What criteria do you apply to choose for a certain piece to put it in a private sale or an auction sale?
How do we advise? Well, that's a very good question. So first things is like we have like an overview on like how the situation of the artist is currently. So as I said, Soulages, when you have like high demand but low offer, we tend to advise to use the auction system, because that's basically like the better system to put like all the collectors in competition and to have like the best outcome out of it, and that's what auction houses are made of, and that's basically what we would advise. On the other end, it could also depend on client expectations. As we discussed, you could pay at some point a very high price for a work and you want your money back, but this one doesn't really fit to what we could advise in terms of auction estimates. So we tend to be more one-to-one collectors and advise the private sale, because like if you have high expectation that doesn't fit to the estimate strategy, because there is a strategy behind an estimate. We need to be attractive. We need to have as much people looking at it, because we all think, oh wow, that's something accessible, so we're going to go for it. If we don't match this logic, we tend to go for a private sale channel, and the thing is like it takes more time because we have to go one by one. And then it also tends to be negotiated a little bit, but in the end, we find a good in between in terms of price. So everybody's like pretty happy with this. And also another thing is when you have like something, what we could say maybe more niche, a little bit more difficult to sell, because we know there is like very few collectors looking at it. We're also
like
gonna
a museum piece, or
yeah. So we maybe gonna also. We maybe also gonna propose to sell it privately, because like we exactly know who's gonna be behind it, and it would be too risky to put it in an auction because it could be a failure, and we both like don't like failures, so that's basically how we tend to advise.
Because everything that we sell at auction is always transparent. Everybody can see what happens. So often if clients want discretion, this is why we kind of began increasing our private sales, because we realized that, you know, often we were having to turn clients away because we couldn't offer them the direct sales like galleries could. And we also often, it's just as simple as a calendar question. Sometimes people can't wait until the next sale. They really want to sell it quickly. They'll consign it and we can sell it within a week.
Best case scenario.
Maybe you can explain your art secure lending service.
I'm sorry?
Can you maybe explain your art secure lending service? When you provide a loan against an artwork.
Sotheby's Financial Services.
Correct.
Right, sorry.
Sorry. Maybe you want to go for that?
So Sotheby's Financial Services is based in London for the European, for what as concerns Europe. We tend to only loan against works over the price of 100,000, as far as I'm aware. And it's a sector that is growing rapidly. People are more and more interested in buying on credit rather than, you know, or partly on credit. And it's a department that we're in close contact with. We often will kind of evaluate collections on the basis of a loan, and we can kind of hold things against the loan that they've taken out with us. Honestly, I would say we're very much contemporary art specialists and not so much financial services specialists, but that's very much a sector that our colleagues are expanding daily, and I think generally globally it's just something that is going to become common nature. Collectors are not always cash buyers, and just like in real estate, often it makes more sense financially to borrow rather than to buy directly.
And of course, the fact that the art is the collateral in this loan, we are extremely well positioned to know exactly, or the best in the compared to a banker or an insurer, whatever, to know the value of something, and that's why this segment has developed, and we are quite efficient and rapid there. But this is not what we do on a daily basis, but it is a very good question. Thank you. Just saying that in all the other questions, we have many segments, and Isobel has shortly ran over all the departments. We are the specialist department, but there are also historical research departments, provenance check. I mean, there's so much know-how in this house that if we have a question, we internally have a huge network of corporate collection specialists, valuation teams,
museum, liaison,
museum, restitution, and this is very important today, as we saw also in the due diligence questions, the provenance of artwork. We are an important auction house. We cannot afford ourselves to not have checked the whole history of an artwork on its, because these things are very delicate. So that's very professionally done.
I think there was a question here. I had a question relating to private sale. Is the fee the same as on the hammer?
Well, no, yes and no. The main difference with the fees for auction houses is like we legally like can't deal the premium. So that's a legal thing. We can't discuss with any clients, whatever the importance is. In private sales, we tend to have pretty much the same ratio in terms of like in terms of importance of the work. So we basically have like different fees according to different amount. So it tends to be pretty much the same. The very strong difference is like we can negotiate them, and we can basically stretch sometimes like our commission, maybe, I mean, actually most of the time, to to make a deal. I mean, that's what it's more important for us, like to have like a collectors happy. So sometimes we have to make sacrifices, and but in that case we can do it. And on the seller side, we don't have any fees. We speak about a net seller, and there is nothing on top to add, which is also sometimes, most of the time, the case for auctions. But we're supposed to have like vendors commissioned as well. So yeah, we work in a pretty different way than the auction system. I hope I answer your question. Yeah.
Much like in a gallery, you wouldn't necessarily know how much the gallery is taking. It's a similar idea.
Yeah, but well, I mean, the thing is like we don't have fixed fees. Sorry, we don't have fixed fees. But the thing is like we have a contract that says like we can't take more than what we could take in auctions. So it's basically, yeah, it's important because like some people are a little bit scared that we tend to sell like with a twice the price and pretend like we have had like a small retail, and that's like that's not how it works. So basically, that's the maximum we can take. It's about 26%.
Which is not the case with galleries. They can take as much as.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It very much depends on dealers, but most of the time, like you could think about like something between 15 and 20%. That's the reality of what we're doing daily. Yeah.
Anyone else? Should we stop there?
If you don't have any other question, just thank you very much for listening to this very interesting talk. I was super happy to share that with you, Isobel, and with you.
And we hope to see
Gwendolyn.
you when we come to Luxembourg and in Brussels and in Paris and London. So if you want to talk to us afterwards or ask a question or make some kind of appointment, we are there.